The human brain is so prone to flawed ways of thinking that when it's fed the wrong information, it can come to the wrong conclusions. And one man who really knew this was Dr. Narendra Dabolkar. He knew that the people most at risk of this were the people in the rural parts of India where education isn't as prevalent. And scammers and fraudsters who exploit the underprivileged are in plenty. Dr. Dabolkar saw only one way to fight this battle. He drafted an anti-superstition law that he tried to get passed in his state, Maharashtra's legislature. However, he created a lot of enemies in the process who were trying to stop him by any means necessary. This is his story. You're watching Science is Dope. My name's Pranav. Let's begin. This video is brought to you by StayQrious New School. More about them later in the video. Dr. Dabolkar had passed out of the Government Medical College, Meerut in the 1970s. With an MBBS degree and after 12 years of practicing medicine, he could see that this was not his calling. His calling was something he discovered while practicing in a village. A patient of his was suffering from cancer. His treatment would have been expensive, something barely within his budget. Instead, he went for another choice, a cheaper option. A miracle healer who promised him a complete cure to all his problems by conducting a puja for the Lord. Something that would cost him only a tenth of what the medical treatment would have. And with the man's approval, the puja was done as promised. And you can guess what happened next. The man died. Had he taken the medical treatment, he would have been alive today. And while it's easy to blame the man for making the wrong choice, this choice was not made in isolation. Rampant beliefs about miracle cures, empty promises made by godmen or priests or people who claim to have magical powers. Promises made to the people that have a tendency to believe them. And quite often, a flavor of religion is all people need to trust what these scammers say. Because for some people, religion is all they have. And they sometimes dedicate their entire lives to it. And some of these people who fall prey to scammers are the ones going through a severe problem in their lives, be it financial or health related or familial problems. And these scammers can smell their desperation from a mile away, like a shark sniffing for blood in the ocean. And these innocent victims, through no fault of their own, end up trusting these scammers, sometimes with their own lives, and end up suffering the consequences. And here's the worst part. They're often told that it's their fault that they didn't get the outcome or the reward that they wanted. Maybe they didn't pray hard enough, or maybe their heart wasn't in the right place, or maybe they didn't conduct the puja in a specific way. And since none of this can be tested or proven, people have no choice but to walk away with their losses. Dabolkar had seen hundreds of cases like these of scammers exploiting people and taking their money on empty promises like these. He had been involved in other social work activities with various organizations, but now he had had enough. He had to help the people fight back against these scammers. He started the Maharashtra Andhashraddha Nirmulan Samiti in 1989, MANS for short, literally meaning the Committee for Eradication of Superstition in Maharashtra. As planned, the first thing MANS did was conduct events to teach people critical thinking. The organization fought against dubious tantrics that victimized the underprivileged and uneducated. They also shone light on self-proclaimed holy men promising miracle cures. One of his hobbies was to expose the country's godmen and their displays of divine power and supernatural abilities. He showed how these were all just simple tricks of chemistry and physics, like starting a fire or producing chemicals that look like blood, or even this little camphor trick.
Fire eating is also a lot less dangerous than it looks. The standard technique in religious festivals is to use pieces of camphor which catch fire at a very low temperature. The bottom of the camphor remains very cool, so it doesn't burn. When the mouth is closed, the flame is quickly extinguished by the carbon dioxide in the breath.
They even went all around the country exposing godmen to the general public. Mans once issued a prize of 11 lakh rupees to any supposed godman who could perform the physically impossible under the scrutiny of rationalists. Nobody came forward. Dabolkar even challenged astrologers with a prize money of rupees 21 lakhs to anyone who could predict the results of the Maharashtra state assembly election with an 80% accuracy. Again, no predictions and no surprises. It's like these godmen and astrologers have divine powers that only work in front of the gullible and the uneducated. While doing all this, Dabolkar faced criticism from many right-wing Hindu groups that his activities were directly against Hindu customs and traditions, that he was anti-Hindu, anti-religion, etc. This seems to be the only criticism that they can ever come up with, and it's not even a valid criticism. You can find a lot of those in my comment section here. I've never seen them argue against a specific thing being said or done, or a point being made. While it is true that he was against certain customs and traditions, but he was only against those that were exploitative in nature and caused direct harm to the people and the environment. And he never restricted his activities to a single religion. You can read up about how Mans campaigned against the torture of mentally ill people under the superstitious belief that it will cure them. Activities carried out in a dargah in Chalisgaon. A dargah is a tomb of a Sufi saint, usually built in part with a mosque. Dr. Dabolkar was one of the biggest champions of critical thinking. But things haven't really progressed much past this day. I don't see critical thinking being given as much value in our education as, say, science or math subjects. When I see the kinds of misinformation and scams that children are exposed to all the time, it worries me, which is why I partnered with StayQrious News School, founded by Anand Srinivas, the former content head of Khan Academy. I've actually had the pleasure of working with him a couple of years ago. So I've actually gotten to see them grow from a small school backed by investors like Y Combinator and Draper Associates to one that grew by developing their research-based curriculum through their project-based learning system. By the way, you can read up all about this and learn more from their website, which I've linked down below. They're Cambridge affiliated, which means they have their own international curriculum and they're a complete replacement for traditional schools. Now they have their own curriculum, which means they teach science, math and language subjects. And the kicker is they teach real world skills like time management and money management and mental health management, etc., which most of us were never taught in schools but turn out to be the most important skills in adulthood. And they want to equip their students not just with narrow skills that help them find a job in the old world, but develop skills that help them navigate this modern world of AI that's constantly changing. In fact, one of the things I said earlier, the mental health of students is something we need to really care about in this country. And you can see how their students actually look forward to school, whereas in my day I was coming up with clever ideas to avoid school. Now, to ensure that each student gets proper individual attention, they only have a max of 8 students in their class. And they work on projects and case studies that help them understand and apply what they learn. But most importantly, what they do is teach their students to critically think and not fall for dubious misinformation online and manage social media anxiety. They explicitly teach rationality and how to avoid patterns of thinking that lead to fooling yourself. There are those of us that are passionate about education and want to change the way India learns. We've all gone through the current education system we have and know what's wrong with it. And I've never seen someone like Anand with so much drive to try and revolutionize it. If I had children of my own, I wouldn't trust their education in any other hands but in those of StayQrious. I've provided a link to them down below, and when you contact them, tell them I sent you. That really supports the channel. I really want to thank StayQrious for sponsoring this video, and I have to say I couldn't have found a better sponsor for this topic. One about a champion of critical thinking, Dr. Dabolkar. Back to the story. Now, although Dr. Dabolkar was engaged in the most noblest of tasks, trying to help the poor and underprivileged escape these scammers who were trying to take their money, he did create enemies as well. These were people who were angry at Dabolkar for actively destroying their customer base, one gullible believer at a time. As far as they were concerned, he had to be stopped by whatever means necessary. Meanwhile, Dr. Dabolkar was engaged in more than just imparting critical thinking. He wanted to improve the welfare, the living conditions of the people he was helping. For example, he was involved in a social initiative called Ek Gav Ek Panota, literally meaning one village, one well. This was even before his days at Mans. Between 1990 and 2010, Dabolkar was actively involved in a movement for the equality of Dalits, the so-called untouchables, and one that fought against the caste system of India and caste-related violence. Dabolkar wrote books on superstition and their eradication, and he had addressed over 3,000 public meetings by 2010. Meanwhile, his enemies weren't sitting idly by as all this happened. They issued threats against Dabolkar, saying that if he continued doing what he was doing, his life would be in danger. Dabolkar ignored these, and when he was offered police protection, he refused, saying, "If I have to take police protection in my own country from my own people, then there's something wrong with me. I'm fighting within the framework of the Indian Constitution, and it's not against anyone, but for everyone." Unknown to him, this would turn out to be a grave mistake. 20th August 2013. Narendra Dabolkar was out on his usual morning walk like he does every day. But this day would turn out to be his last as he neared the Omkareshwar temple. Two motorcycle riders pulled up next to him. They fired 4 bullets at him at point blank range and fled the location immediately. 2 of the bullets hit Dabolkar in the head and chest, and he died on the spot. Although the assailants were never caught, subsequent investigations have linked them to the Hindu group Sanatan Sanstha, the same group that's implicated in the murders of Rationalist Pansare and Kalburgi. And even though it's been 11 years since the Rationalist murder, the culprits have never been captured. Isn't it ironic that the people who cry all the time that their customs and traditions are under attack, that they're in danger all the time, are the ones with so much power that they can get away with literal murder? With this, India lost a premier leader of rationality, but the movement only got stronger. The pending Anti-Superstition and Black Magic Ordinance was passed in Maharashtra only 4 days after his death. Mans, which had only 170 centers at the time of the Rationalist murder, grew to over 325 centers over the next 5 years. The incident also led to a nationwide debate on how hostile forces are trying to shut out rationalist thought. Dabolkar's daughter Mukta has been spearheading the enactment of a nationwide anti-superstition bill. Dabolkar, being an atheist, had his ashes after cremation scattered over his organic farm without any religious rites. In a way, the alleged terrorist organization's cowardly way of silencing its enemies backfired on them. Like the Streisand effect, all it did was bring more attention to everything they wanted to brush under a rug. And I find that the atheists and rationalists are the ones that care about society and fight against social injustices, even though the religious ones portray themselves as being more compassionate about the public. Even to this day, Narendra Dabolkar is someone who inspires people with a rational approach to even the simplest things in life. Indian rationalism has a rich history and several stories like these that I plan to bring out one by one. So if you don't want to miss that, make sure you subscribe. My entire channel is dedicated to this way of thinking, and found. If you are interested in that, then you should definitely check it out. And if you do like my work, then I'd encourage you to support me with one of the options I've linked below. I'd also like to thank my highest tier patrons who support me. The sponsor I've associated my channel with, StayQrious, is someone so aligned with my goals and the goals of the channel that I wanted to benefit every single viewer. If there is a child that you care about, it doesn't even have to be your own child, a niece, a nephew, a cousin. I'm sure StayQurious will be an amazing resource for them. So make sure you check them out at the link below and tell them I sent you. If you like this video, you might also like this one I did on the history of nuclear science in India. I'll see you in the next one. Till then, remember, science is dope.